Super Random Japan. Nani?
So, I've never played the Onimusha video game series by Capcom, and I've always hated 3D or CGI anime, with a few exceptions. I know a lot of people are the same. However, clearly 3D's here to stay, and always evolving like any art form. Despite my ignorance of the game and intolerance of 3D anime, I was still strongly interested in watching the new Netflix original Onimusha. Why? And what did I think of it now that I've watched it? I'll get to all those answers in a sec. I get why the trend for anime studios is to go the 3D route. Just like Disney abandoning all 2D animation, 3D is popular, well, for them at least, and way easier to create, since instead of drawing individual frames, the brunt of the time is in the pre- and post-production. You create the 3D model, and the rest is essentially puppeteering, then cleaning it up in post and making it look pretty. It saves loads of time and manpower, and it saves money. However, unlike Disney, Japan seems to be going in a unique route, trying to keep the popularity and essence of their traditional, popular 2D anime, while combining the convenience and versatility of 3D. The problem with this bizarre mix is that it doesn't please either party. Sure, there are some people who clearly accept it and even like it, otherwise it would have been abandoned by now. Still, it clearly hasn't reached the perfect blending yet, and Onimusha is no different. So, why was I drawn to Onimusha? It's the combination of director, character design, and actor influence, not to mention the perfect mix of emotional and storyline hints in the trailer. Oh, and I love Japanese things, of course, hence the channel. First off, I love Toshiro Mifune. I love Miyamoto Musashi, and I love Toshiro Mifune as Miyamoto Musashi. I'm also a huge fan of Kim Jong-gi, the character designer, and I'm a somewhat big fan of Takashi Miike, the director. So, aside from the 3D approach, I was already sold. Furthermore, the trailer was put together well from song choice to production approach, as it gave enough teasers without giving away the whole story, like many Hollywood teasers would do. First, when I saw starring Toshiro Mifune in the trailer, I was like, oh my gosh, what's work? I thought it would be like an AI recreation, including mannerisms and voice. However, the voice is played by Akio Otsuka. Clearly, it's only a portrayal or likeness of Mifune. You know, actor likenesses have been used constantly throughout cinema history, as many other shows or movies or series have done. You know, like the One Piece admirals, many of the Baki characters. And a trillion Bruce Lee ripoffs are apparent of this. So, I'm not sure why it says starring Toshiro Mifune. That's a big stretch. Still, it's enough to get me intrigued, more than the Onimusha games did back when they first came out. The reason the games didn't attract me much was because I like supernatural when it's a little more grounded. I know that sounds strange, but the game had a style a little too modern or even futuristic while still trying to seem ancient and traditional. There were other reasons I wasn't too interested in the Onimusha games, but that's not what this video is about. Again, though, I never actually played the games, so fans, please don't hate on me too much. Still, this Netflix series differs in that it looks more traditional, just with a slight futuristic feel in the gauntlet, while the rest is merely supernatural feel. The story of this Netflix version of Onimusha revolves around a somewhat stoic, albeit older and more worn, Miyamoto Musashi, the most legendary swordsman in Japanese history. The character is designed after legendary, but long-deceased actor Toshiro Mifune, one of the biggest and best actors in Japanese cinematic history, known for many roles, but especially his samurai roles. He's even been Musashi himself in the trilogy Samurai, based off the book Musashi about Miyamoto Musashi's life. So, this tickles the fancy of many Japanese samurai cinema fans. Another special treat is that you can definitely see the benefit of having a director like Takashi Miike, who has a fair share of experience directing exciting samurai stories, namely 13 Assassins, a movie reminiscent of Seven Samurai, one of the greatest movies of all time, period. It's nice to see a mainstream movie director putting his eye to the anime medium. Perhaps we'll see more of this in the future. Maybe we can get a Scorsese Yakuza anime or something. Come to think of it, I'd even love to see a live-action Scorsese Yakuza flick. But I digress. Back to the Netflix anime. The story revolves around Musashi and a band of samurai from a particular sword school. The show doesn't explain this well in the beginning, but does slowly throughout the series. In fact, the way the show starts is a little confusing, leading me to believe you need to know the story a bit before watching. Musashi already knows what the mysterious gauntlet is capable of, and knows whom he must use it to kill. Still, it's enough to keep people at least a little intrigued. Actually, the beginning is, in my opinion, the worst part. Between the poor CGI and lack of lead up, I think many people will be turned off by the show in the first episode. However, believe me, if you stick with it, you'll become very invested. In fact, there wasn't a single episode that made me not want to keep binging. Except perhaps the episode with the Yoshioka sisters. I think that was episode 5. In fact, it's so easy to forget that they skipped making 3D models and rendered the fights in that episode in 2D, knowing it would be a short one-time deal. Rest of the story, however, is quite compelling. It takes many twists and turns and has many of the same elements of Miike's 13 Assassins movie. The characters are well developed and the story progresses at an ideal rate. Plus, the idea that Musashi must reface his ultimate opponents with new powers is really cool. The little girl is also a pleasant surprise and an important aspect of the story. They did a great job of creating a character we can sympathize with and root for, whom isn't one of the main fighters. My only gripes, aside from the CGI, are that Heikiro's chin is unseeable once seen, and that the Falcons are crazy overpowered. Also, the final fight has some kind of wacky physics, but you know what? They're both superpowered at that point, so I'm gonna let it slide. There's some other moments and character choices I'd like to dwell on a bit, but they'd be a major spoiler, so I'll leave them be. Overall, the series did a great job of creating a compelling story and interesting characters. Anyway, between the direction, designs, and story, I was able to look past the 3D CGI, and while noticeable and awkward as always, you can see studios are getting better at incorporating it. Still, I think we're a long way from perfecting it, but in the meantime, we can mask it by surrounding projects with competent people. So, in the end, I can say I would definitely recommend Onimusha. It would have been 10 times better with traditional 2D in my opinion, and it's not like they were in a time crunch since the game series hasn't been relevant for a long time, and nobody even saw this coming. Still, considering what they had to work with, and that it wasn't trying to revolutionize the world, I think it turned out to be a solid series. As to whether or not they'll make a second season, that's up to the response of the show, I'm sure. Plus, it'd be interesting to see if, like the games, they utilize a different legendary samurai as the lead. Will I watch it? If this season was the benchmark, then I'm definitely going to catch the next season if and when they make it. Anyway, that's all for now. As usual, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Or don't. You be you. Later.
宮本武蔵殿、一体何をなさる気かな。
何、ちょっとした鬼退治だ。